Yeah, just again, you're always disappointed when you lose, and especially a game you think's a winnable game, which it certainly was a winnable game. Obviously, did a lot better things offense in the first week when we didn't do anything particularly well, run or throw. We got some big chunk plays. We averaged over 8 yards of play for the game, which that's obviously a very good number. We had some chunk passes. DQ had a scramble, had a couple designed runs that he got chunk runs on. The only real negative of the offense is just not producing enough points with the amount of yards per play, and really the one drive, you're down 10-7 and you're moving the ball good and you get down there, and then we have two penalties on one play that puts us behind the chains, and then we misread the coverage and throw a ball flat into a flat defender, and he gets a pick, and then they immediately score. So instead of it being 14-10 or minimally 10-10, but hopefully if you're trying to beat a Big Ten team on the road, you got to make it 14-10 there. You got to punch that in. We have momentum offensively, and then next you're sitting at 17-7, which you should not be sitting there, within 3 plays. Other than that, we moved the ball pretty consistently during the day, and that was a key segment. They got it to 24-7. I thought we had a great drive before the first half. Was key if you want to win the game, because we knew we could move it. I felt like we still could get stops. We didn't really get stops, but I felt like we still could. And we had a good drive, and Dom bangs a 40-yard field goal. So you get to 2 scores before half, and you really feel like there was a 14-point swing there that, had nothing to do with Rutgers, had to do with us. So you felt like, okay, so we got the stop to start the second half. We got the score right away. We come right back down scoring, get 7, and we're 24-17. And now you're really frustrated because if you don't have that little sequence, you're probably up 7 at this point in the game on the road in the third quarter. But then we didn't really get a stop the rest of the game. So defensively, not near as good. Experienced Rutgers offense. Their O-line was really good. We knew that coming in. The receiver, we knew their whole offense was good. But they out-execute our defense. They didn't big play us. It was 17 plays, 16 plays, 11 plays, 12 plays. But they, over a 3-play sequence, they stayed ahead of the chains. But even when they didn't stay ahead of the chains, they'd execute. We have 3rd and 13 in the red zone, and we give up a play. So too many mistakes in our defense. There's a lot of good plays in our defense, and again, I always felt like we could stop them because they weren't pouring through us. There was a lot of long drives, and we weren't good on 3rd down all day. But we weren't great on 1st and 8. Just too many mistakes in our defense. We fit the run right, we'd be fine. We fit it wrong, and so perfect example, just they executed their stuff. They ran their stuff the whole game. There's times we defended their stuff fine, but they just kept executing and waited for us to make mistakes. And when we made mistakes, they kept moving the ball and staying ahead of the chains. Then 3rd down, they way out execute us. We didn't get near the quarterback. We didn't cover very good on 3rd down. 1st and 2nd down was okay, but so ends up with a loss on the road. A lot of talked to the team yesterday. Just a lot of young guys on defense learned how consistent they have to play to be a really good player, and not good 2 out of 3 snaps, but got to be good 3 out of 3 snaps. And that was kind of the story. And we knew Rutgers' offense would do that. That's what they did a year ago. That's what they did the first 2 games. They just really disciplined and execute. And we knew their O-line was really good, and their O-line, when we played with good technique and leverage, we hung in there fine. I was pleased with how physical we were. When we didn't, we got knocked off the ball pretty good, but when we played with technique, we could hang with a really experienced, physical Big Ten offensive line, which was good to see. So special teams was good against a team that really prides itself on special teams. Obviously, we didn't punt as much, which is great. We don't want to punt, but our punter was really good. Our coverage was good. Dom makes his one kick, which again, at 24-17, you're like, okay, we get back and win this. That's a huge end of half sequence. So we had the one miss hit on the kickoff, which won't probably happen again, and that creates some field position for them. So, but through 2 weeks, we're 0-2. We've played 2 Big Ten teams, both winnable games, both really good tests for us. The first week, we were really up against it on offense, and it showed. We weren't close to being ready to play at that level in that week one. Week two, we were more up against it defensively. We obviously competed. When you average 8.4 yards per play on offense, you obviously there was things to be had offensively that we got done, but defensively was more up against it, and at times it really showed. Not like week one offense, because our defense did more good things than we did week one offense, but we only made them punt one time the whole game, and but just inconsistencies and inexperience got exposed. And again, as I told the team yesterday, like, this is now going to be your third game. All right, your 20th game is going to look different. I'm not worried about what your 20th game in your college career is going to look like. You're going to have, but being inexperienced is being inexperienced, and we have to grow up quicker. We can't wait for game 20 to have all the, every time somebody does something new, it throws us out of whack, and then how we handle things and how we handle the emotion of being in the arena. I said at times our defense on the sidelines looked like our offense in the first game. They looked a little bit bewildered and like, we got to get through that. And then they were fine. It took them a little time to get back, and then they're fine. But you got to be play by play. Like, we all know this, and everybody talks about it, and it's cliche-ish, but that's the game. And we have to continue to grow quickly and get better at just handling. You're not going to go out there and dominate like you did in high school. Like, that's not happening. So you can't let plays affect you. You can't let plays get you down. You can't let series get you down. You got to. So again, we've learned hard lessons on both sides of the ball the first 2 weeks, and there was hard lessons like offensively when we did things we wanted to do correctly. Yes, we had a lot of success, but there's still plays out there that we're not doing what we're supposed to. And it was the nice thing is that you had success on the plays you did execute, that you saw it on tape, play to play to play. And even defensively, they ran the same play we defended for no gain. They run the same play, they get 8 yards. Like, it just has to do with how you defend it. So our consistency is not there, and that's, we got a bye week, and that's we're going to keep working on getting better. And like I said after the game, I really like this group. We got enough talent. Our kids are playing hard. We don't play the game the right way. When I say that, it's not intentional. It's not willful. It's not, it's just, and again, when I say that, it doesn't mean we don't play the right game way ever. It's like, he did it 6 out of 7 snaps. He did it 5 out of 6 snaps. He's doing it 1 out of every 2 snaps. Like, it's almost every other play. Like, wow, that's really good. And then, wow, that's just kind of floating around out there. You're really just kind of floating around like a high school kid and staring at the quarterback and hoping something falls, and then nothing's good happening. So one time we wrong arm the facts, and then next time we don't. Like, and it works when we wrong. So the nice thing is they have evidence. Now, how quickly do you learn and how quickly you grow, and that's on us as coaches, and we gotta stay on them, and we gotta be accountable, and we gotta grow together, but we gotta do it sooner than later. Obviously, moving ahead to UNLV, they just physically got after UCLA, like, all the physical things that happened in the game, the athletic explosives, like 3rd and short, they just poured through there. The story of the first half was UCLA moved the ball good in the first half, moved to go to second, but they got to some 3rd and shorts. They were better on 3rd and long, 3rd and short, they just pouring through there, and had 2 huge stops in the first half, which gave them a couple score lead. UNLV offense, obviously, quarterback's a dual threat. He can do both. He's highly touted high school, played a lot of games at Virginia. Obviously, he's come over here, has done really well. They still use the other guy in some short yards run situations, and we know how athletic and strong. He's 240 pounds. He can run. Big athletic offensive line, skill guys out on 8, 9 wide out. They play tons of wide. The first game, I think 8 different wide outs, caught passes. They all can run. They had a bunch of different running backs that can play. So, and that same thing on defense. They play a ton of guys, and they got I think some 50-some transfers. And or 40, I don't know, they have a lot of transfers. But again, if you look where they came from or where they're rated in high school, like I said, there's more 4 or 5-star guys on UNLV's roster than there is the first 2 teams. We played Big Ten teams our first 2 weeks. So, again, different type of test because different style on offense and defense. But big, strong, twitchy, and athletic, you're gonna know who you're like. If you're not on your business and you're not talented, you're going to get overwhelmed in a hurry. They at every point. I know indeed they overwhelmed UCLA at times. Now, at times UCLA did really good things too, but at times it was like, okay, wow, the offense line got overwhelmed by the front of UNLV, or the DBs were all over the wideout. So they're talented, athletic bunch on both sides of the ball in ST. And again, like we say, why we like this is Is it always fun? No, it wasn't. It has been always fun the first 2 weeks. First week, I think our defense felt pretty good. There's things that we felt really good about offense the second week, but it equals 0-2 is all it is. But as you're on this trying to figure out how to play this and be really good, these are tests that help you grow in a hurry if you want to be good. If you don't, then you sulk and pout and stop competing and you have a bad team. So that's not the plan. The plan is to keep trying to get better. You create a different challenge, and we'll learn some lessons against them too, and we got to keep getting better. So, questions?
You said just with the unfamiliarity of your offense for the Wisconsin game that it would take some time to build that timing in the pass game.
Yeah.
Why was it so much better, you think, this week than it was in week one?
Yeah, again, it was so bad in week one. It has to be better for one. But I mean, you and I know what you're asked. Like, again, I said the same thing after the game. Like, again, it starts like. And not that we were trying to practice bad going to Wisconsin. We weren't trying. We didn't really understand what a great practice really looks like in game week. Like it started last week. Like we protect our, like last week in practice against, and again, just your scout team, no one was near our quarterback in practice. So we could take a normal drop and normal rhythm and work on throwing the ball on time, which the week before we were getting pressure in practice. And I was like, it's going to be a disaster. And certainly we had no time to throw it at Wisconsin. It looked just like practice, but way worse because it's Big Ten versus a MAC scout team. And then last week in practice, our timing was better in RVA. We completed more balls in RVA. Our urgency was better in RVA. We're just doing routes versus air. And then in teamwork against our scouts, we completed a lot of balls. And it's like, okay, this is now, are we close to there? No, but like the first double move we hit, it looked like practice. Against Wisconsin, it looked like practice. But again, you got to have 95% success against your scout teams to win over 50% of the battles in a game. So it starts with how we practice, like the urgency we had and the focus we had, and not just running the route and throwing the ball, but everybody focusing on the timing. Like if the protection's not there, the quarterback's got to move, the timing's gone. Like it's already over, right? If the back doesn't do his job, we had a really good play fake. You watch the Wisconsin game, anybody could do it. I would say grandma, grandpa in the stands watch. We had our play actions were not play actions. There was no mesh. It didn't look like our runs. A week later, we really focused on it because we talked like we're not getting the backers down, guys. Like then this week we have really good meshes. We have really good protection. We run a really good route. And we have timing. It looks good. It's like, oh, lo and behold, if it, So again, our timing's still not there, but we did make some really nice strides. I felt going to Rutgers game offensively way different than I felt going into Wisconsin because I had a totally different week of execution in practice, and it's different. Did we practice hard going to Wisconsin? We practiced hard. We didn't practice to win a game. There's a difference. You practice like your life depends on it if you're trying to go beat a Big Ten team, if you're a MAC team. Like that's what young guys got to figure out. Like Eli Blakey understands that. Cy understands that. Trick understands it. Hondru, like the other guys don't. They never been in a game week where they were playing and in the fire. So way better in practice. We got to keep pushing the envelope of timing. Everything's timing from the snap. You have a good snap. It's all like, so it was, our time was better. There's times you say I said it after our first, I go, that's what it looks like, guys. Like no one did supernatural on our first big play. Everybody, but 11 guys did their job. And it looked exactly like the snap was good. The play action was good. The sets were firm. We were together. There was not air. There was so much air at Wisconsin in our sets. It wasn't we weren't on the same page. It's not just your set. You got to set the same way the guy sets next to you, so there's not air there for people to attack. And we had a firm wall, and we had time. Our quarterback took good footwork. He got his eyes in the right place, makes a good throw. And again, okay, did anybody do anything supernatural on that play? No, everybody did what they were capable of doing. Our issue right now is we can't replicate that often enough. We can go against two Big Ten teams, and on any given down, we could go toe-to-toe with them, which is wonderful. Because we got all these new guys. I was a little bit concerned this week we're just going to get knocked off the ball. Were we big and physical enough to play with Rutgers' experienced O-line, which we were. Now, at times we got, but it's bad technique. It's we can't replicate our technique 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When you're really, really a high-end football team, you can do it 90% of the time. You're replicating your technique. So we're learning that. We replicate it more the first week on defense and more the second week on offense, but we're still a long ways on both sides of the ball. But it looked way better in practice, and we had more confidence. And again, how much does your confidence go up when you feel like your timing's good and we can do this, and you're not having success in practice, you're probably not going to be as confident.
What's it like to have 2 weeks to prepare for a game this early in the season?
Yeah, it's different, and it's for us right now, I love it. Like every year is different, but I just love just because we get 2 more practice weeks, and I think like experienced team like last year, it's kind of like, it's kind of too early if you could use it later in the year when you have more bumps and bruises, which again, there's always a give and take on everything. But just for us is, can we spend 2 weeks learning to, in not 1 week to get more consistent, but let's do it 2 weeks in a row. And then how much more consistent can we try to play our systems the way we want to play our systems against ULV and force them to physically beat us, all right? Which again, they're going to be able to do. But let's make UNLV physically beat us. Let's not hand them something, which we've done too much the first couple weeks. And everybody in the country is going through it. We've been, like I said, we've been fortunate. We've been really experienced for a while, so we have. But you still go through it, and we're just, like I said, I say, like I've said before, I tell staff almost every day, like if you like to coach, it's a fun. We got to coach. Like it's like we're coaching. Like this is not just, hey, we're gonna get this. Hey, we got a bunch of older guys. They're gonna start playing the game. Like these kids are learning everything, and everything that's happening is happening fast. But okay, take a deep breath. We got to take it. We got to learn fast. Like if you want to, we can still talk about this week 7, and some teams will be, and maybe we will be. We still haven't figured out how to play consistently. We're not going to win many games that way.
Coach, what did the defensive back room kind of take out of game against Rutgers and going up against their quarterback?
You better understand the game more, because there's times just we don't understand. They're doing different splits and different alignments, and we're not on our business, and they know it. But again, in the arena, what are you thinking about pre-snap? What are you actually thinking about? Are you thinking about the last play? Or are you thinking about, like, what are you thinking about pre-snap? Or are you looking at splits and formations and alignments, and then just the urgency to play your technique, which is every position on our team. It's not the back end; it's every position on our team. We didn't rush as good because Rutgers up front is really good. So credit to Rutgers, and they're really good and they're fit. But we didn't rush as good. We didn't get on edges like we did the week before, and partly because Rutgers were jump setting us. Well, now if they're jump setting you, like how do you got to make it a quicker adjustment, and we got to get on edges, and so. But again, the consistency of keeping the game simple. We want to go make plays, and there's key situations, on defense in the red zone where guys get off the reservation, try to run up the field, make a play. Well, they gave up a play. Like you just thought what? You just thought you'd screw us? Like, no, you weren't trying to screw us. That wasn't the plan. They were trying to help us win the game, but they're young, and I'm going to run up the field, make a play, and then they get kicked out, and there's a seam there, and it's like, okay. So just consistently be boring, plain, just keep doing your job, and trust that your ability and your technique with your ability will be okay. And like I said, if they do that, they give yourself the best chance for success.
Can you run us through the play, offensive pass interference play? You were clearly upset. That was a big momentum changer offensively in that drive. I think you guys could have used that.
Yeah, no, like I said after the game, none of us are perfect. The refs want to have a perfect game. I'm a head coach, want to have a perfect game. Our players want to have a perfect game. We're far from less perfect than the referees are. I didn't agree with the call. They called us on a pick route. The guy we were trying to rub, we never touched. The DB attached to our guy. We didn't attach the DB. We were running away from the guy, and then we went vertical, and there was contact with the guy that was covering our guy man, not anybody we were trying to rub. I thought we executed perfectly. They saw it differently. They called it. I didn't agree with the call. Like that's, and it was 31-yard gain, and we're going to have first down on their 39 and 31-17. Our offense has been in pretty good rhythm. If we can punch that in, we're still not necessarily think we're going to win the game, but 31-24 is a lot different. Now it's a 15-yard offensive pass interference penalty. That's a pretty crippling penalty, and now you're instead of 1st and 10, we're 3rd and 25, and we didn't get any stops the rest of the game anyway, so it probably would have made a difference. So, but again, there's never been a game where the refs were perfect. There's never a game where the coaches or players are perfect. So it's just, to me, that was bad timing for us, for certain. It was a critical part in the game, and we executed and got a big play, and it didn't materialize that way. So that's like I said after the game, the least my concern is whether the officials going to be perfect in 2 weeks against you, but they're not. They're going to miss some calls, and they're going to make some good calls, and they're going to try hard just like we're trying to. I'm worried about how we execute, how we play, and how I coach, and that's what we, are focused on. Yeah, at the moment, I was mad because I knew it was a big play. We just executed a big play, and I was ticked. And, like I said, I told the ref on our side he did a good job. He stayed with me, his communication was good. I didn't agree. I said, we can disagree as long as he was very professional and communicated, and I thanked him for it after. Yes, I appreciate your professionalism. I still don't agree with the call, but I appreciate how you handled it, and everything was good. So.
Talk about Finn and his connection with Reynolds. I think there was really something special there. I think Reynolds can really help you guys out. On the wide
Yeah,
receiver
obviously
end.
Keith and Cam both had 100 yards receiving. We had 200-yard receivers in one game. They're both, guys that haven't played a lot of college football, but they're both explosive. Cam and Keith are both explosive athletes, as you saw in that game. And again, as we continue to bank reps and get more and more reps together, obviously our timing on a lot of things was way better on Saturday than it was the first week, and it should have been. Our timing the first week was not good. So we got to keep working, and you got Colsey, and we got other guys too with Weaver, and we got Isom and Billups and Brady Simmons. We got other guys that can contribute out there, and as we continue to run more plays, hopefully we continue to get to the point we start running 70 plays in a game. More and more guys can contribute. So it was good. We took a giant step forward, obviously. We made a bunch of plays. We went from averaging 2 yards a play to 8 yards a play. That's pretty good in 1 week. But we had a lot of chunk plays, which how we got to 8 yards, there's still too much inconsistency on all them other plays.
At the beginning of the game, they were throwing a lot of short outs and that sort of thing. Looked like there was pretty big cushion. Was there?
There was. There was too big a cushion.
Was there an effort to close that
Yes, it
cushion
was.
as the game went along?
Yes, and again, it's just young guys out there and knowing they have good receivers. That's not the cushion we practiced. That's not even a cushion we have. No one has a cushion that's soft, But we get out there and we play, There's a number of times we lined up pre-snap, we're way too deep, not just on the perimeter, sometimes against condensed formations. We're too deep. Like, there's a reason they're condensed. You got to come down and play the condensed formation. We got to continue to details. Our kids know, our kids could watch the tape with I and coach tells you, I've lined up way too deep there, and then I'm too soft on this. They don't need me to tell them that, but in the arena, there's times young guys do wacky stuff against good people, and there's times we called for press man and they didn't press. We called press because the situation called for it, and our guys didn't press because they weren't comfortable pressing at that point. So it was so that's all. But again, like I said, there's good players there. They got to grow. That those playing out on the perimeter it's a little more under the microscope than everybody else close to the ball. So you're out there on an island, not only just on an island in the game, but you're just on an island that the microscope is on you all the time. So we got to continue to be more aggressive and competitive with everything we do.
I assume that when you're looking at films, you can point to them and say, as long as you keep giving them this, they're going to keep taking
Yep.
it, especially with a quarterback like they had.
Yep. No doubt.
Coach, could you just talk a little bit about excitement getting back home and just what the community could do, to surround this team?
We already got a great number of sales for the game, so we're really excited. It'll be week 4. We're at home, and we got back-to-back home games, which is awesome. We love being here. We love being at Jaeger. Crowd makes a huge difference. Going to Big Ten venues, it makes a huge difference. It's harder on the road. Obviously, it's a big advantage being at home. For every game, let alone when you play somebody like UNLV, it'll be a big advantage for us. And then again, we lost a couple home games in 22. We had our backup quarterback in there slugging it around, but we haven't lost many home games since 2018. Our home record's been pretty darn good. So we love being. Again, that's to your point. That's part of it. We love being at home, but part of it makes a difference being at home. Our home record has been phenomenal, and so it should be early in the year and nice. And again, ticket sales are already great, so we need all the support we can get, and we're more than excited to have a couple weeks at home for sure.